Challenges in practicing for the Storm this week. I know you were inside for a lot of it, but was it hard to get everybody together? You know, coaches obviously don't live as close. Was that difficult for you guys?
No, I think again it was rainy and windy, but it wasn't anything that really held us back. It was just more of practicing inside because we felt like we could get the most done inside. I really don't like going inside, but because of the wind and the rain and then the field conditions, again, at this point in the season, I'd rather go inside and get productive work rather than risk, having somebody get injured on a slippery field or something like that. But we're gonna go outside today, so for at least part of the practice, if not the whole practice.
Are there any risks in practicing on like a slippery field and stuff like that?
Sure, yeah, there's always risks. That's why we'll probably work a lot on our turf today. We'll go on that outdoor turf field today.
Yeah, actually, really quick follow-up on that. And I know players from New York and New Jersey here. Did any of them have any serious impacts for families in terms of the storm or flooding around them?
Again, it's a really tough deal. Having been in a hurricane myself in the early 90s in Massachusetts, I was in a hurricane. It's a tough deal. I think right now all of our players' families are doing okay. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to all those folks in New Jersey and everywhere that you're seeing on the news. I mean, it's a brutal deal, but I think our players haven't necessarily been directly affected by it.
And you were pretty hard on yourself after the loss last week. Are there one or two areas that you wanted to improve on specifically going into Purdue?
Yeah, I mean, again, I try to improve every day. I try to do as good a job every day of self-critique and making sure that I'm doing the best I can for this staff and especially these players and this university. So that's every single day, whether we win or whether we lose. I'm always trying to figure out, what I could do better than the day before, or the practice before, or the game before. That'll never change. That's what I always try to do.
Hey, Coach. What have you seen out of Purdue's secondary on film, particularly their safety, Landon Fighters, leading them in picks and tackles, and what have you seen out of them and what stands out on film?
Yeah, Fighter, one thing that stands out to me right away is his range. He's got really good range. He can run. He's got good ball skills. He's instinctive. And I would say that about their whole secondary. You're also talking about Taylor Richards, same type of player, good range, instinctive player. Josh Johnson, their corner, 6 feet tall, 200-pound guy. He's had a good season. He's an aggressive player. And then Ricardo Allen and Frankie Williams, those guys on the other side have played well too. It's a big challenge for our offense and for our receivers and our tight ends in this game, no question about it.
Two-parter regarding the coaching staff. Is there an art to building a coaching staff, or do you lean on your contacts more, or is there a recruiting gamesmanship at all, and keeping an eye on what assistants are doing a really good job around the country, and at some point maybe looking at bringing in some outside guys?
Well, the number one thing that I look at when I think about a staff, and the number one thing I think about when I look at a prospect or a recruit is their character. Are they good people? Are they honest? Do they have a great work ethic? When it comes to coaching, are they guys, in my opinion, that I've worked with before, or that I trust somebody that I know that's worked with them before? Trust their opinion of them, things like that. We have an excellent football staff here of coaches that communicate well with the players, that are smart, that have been in a lot of different situations football-wise, that are good teachers, that are excellent recruiters. So, this is a staff that hopefully can stay together for a while.
Just to follow that up real quick, in terms of balancing, retaining assistants, young assistants oftentimes have desires to move up the coaching ranks. How do you balance stability versus bringing in ultimately new coaches for fresh ideas so that your product doesn't become stale over time?
Well, we just got here, Nate, you know what I mean? So I would hope that our product isn't getting stale. I haven't even been here a year. It'll be a year on January 6th, so the word stale hopefully is not being used quite yet. But, I think, at the end of the day, I want all of our coaches to be really willing to work extremely hard to do the best that they can with their own careers. I always want guys that, in my opinion, I've only been a head coach for 9 months, but I just was there. I always wanted to be a head football coach. So I think you want guys on your staff that aspire to those things too. And some guys are a little bit older, and they don't necessarily aspire to that. They just want to do the best job that they can for Penn State in their position and their role on the staff. So, but we're, again, this is a staff that I think is a smart staff, a good teaching staff, a good recruiting staff, a staff that gets along together, and a very creative, bright staff. So, I don't see the word stale being used for quite a while with our staff.
Hey, Bill. You were just talking about, I'm here in the center, getting better every day and always wanting to improve with your coaching. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've kind of encountered as being a head coach, 8 games in now at this point?
Well, there's challenges every day. That's a great question. I mean, there are challenges every day, whether it's administrative challenges or maybe players come in and they have some personal issues that you want to talk to them about. And the one thing that I've tried to do every single day is work extremely hard and be organized in my work. And that's what I'll always try to do here. And the other thing I've tried to do is be very open, honest with our staff, with our players, and to make sure that everybody has an idea every single day of where they stand. What are they? You can't stay the same. You've got to figure out ways to get better. And so hopefully I've done that every day. Other than that, there's been a lot of challenges. Just being a first-time head coach, there's a ton of challenges. We'd have to be here all day for me to tell you exactly all that they are. But there's challenges on the field, off the field, everywhere. So
like tougher than you expected.
Never been a head coach, so just went into it and said, you know what, I'm going to be as organized as I can be. I'm going to be as hardworking as I can be, and still have time for my family. And I'm going to do the best job I can for Penn State and these players. I can't tell you how much I enjoy these players. I mean, I've had the most fun coaching, that I've had compared to any year. I mean, I've had a ton of fun last year. We went to a Super Bowl. That was great. And this has been just as much, if not more fun and rewarding coaching this team and being around these players.
Bill, excuse me, can you describe your adjustment and satisfaction to the Big Ten officiating process? Not specifically the officiating, but just the process when obviously there's going to be a couple calls per game. Do you break that tape down, send it to them? Is there, and in particular the call at the end of the half, the hold? I'm just curious whether that came up in terms of questioning.
Right. Okay. So Neil, I respect the question, but I have to be very careful on how I answer this question because I don't want to do anything to represent Penn State in the wrong way, and I want to make sure that people know that I have a ton of respect for the Big Ten referees and Bill Carolla, the head of the referees. But I think after the season, when we all get together as head coaches in the Big Ten, I'm going to have some questions. I want things defined. What is this? What is that? What are we looking for here? And we do send, if we have questions on certain calls that were made, we do send it in. But that'll be one of my questions. Okay, what happens when we send them in? We get a response. Okay, so what's done about that? Do we try to fix that problem, or do we just all right, that was the answer. All right, next game. So those will be things that I'll try to address after the season. But I have a lot of respect for the Big Ten officials. They're very good at communicating. I'm sure they haven't had a lot of fun with me. Certain crews haven't had a lot of fun with me, and that's part of being a head coach. I'm going to fight for my players. I'm going to fight for our staff and Penn State, and that's the way I'm always going to be.
One other question is, you've talked a lot about your seniors. You're not going to have a bowl game. Are you seeing junior leadership develop, and particularly how important for the next month or so?
That's a great question. Yeah, I've definitely seen junior leadership show up. We've got, as a matter of fact, the way our stretch lines are set up, we have our seniors out in front, and then that first row that faces our seniors are all juniors, or mostly juniors. And so I've seen, I look at those guys every day, and I say those are the guys that are going to be the leaders of this football team next year, with the addition of some younger players, like the Allen Robinsons and the Kyle Carters, and those guys. But I do see some guys there that'll definitely be leaders next year and have already taken on that role this year.
Hey, Coach. You talked about Sean Stan a little bit earlier. He had the nagging back problem earlier in the season, but on Saturday he had arguably his best game. How have you seen him develop over the course of the season?
Sean Stanley is one of those guys. I was just talking to him yesterday in our stretch line. He's a very instinctive player. He plays extremely hard. He's tough. He's played every single game this year with the games that he's played in. He's had a back issue. And if you know anything about back issues, to play defensive end in the Big Ten Conference and play the way he plays, it's a lot of credit to him. He's a tough guy. I've really enjoyed watching him play, getting to know him. And, again, I wish we had him for longer than we do, but I've seen him develop and get better and better, and he plays with great effort. He almost blocked the punt the other night, and we were only in punt safe, and he came close to blocking a punt, basically because of his own effort, his own work ethic.
Coach, Kyle Carter, how surprised are you with his success? And is there a tight end in New England that he most reminds you of? I think you probably answered this in previous conferences.
Yeah,
but
I'm not surprised at all with his success. When in spring practice, I noticed right away that he had very good hands. He was an excellent athlete. I knew that he was going to continue to develop in the weight room with his strength and things like that, and just saw where he was just a very unique athlete. That's an important term, because he's nothing like anybody that we had in New England. Rob Gronkowski's 6'7", 275 pounds with about, a very low percentage of body fat. Aaron Hernandez is 6'4", 245, 250 pounds that runs probably a 4.5 40. So you're talking about totally different players, all three of these guys, and obviously Kyle being a college player, those guys are professional athletes. But they definitely have different skill sets, and I haven't been surprised at all with the production that Kyle Carter's had this year.
Hey, Coach, on your left here, I know you guys like to focus on your team and what you guys have going here, but I'm just curious, with Danny Hope kind of on the hot seat and Purdue in need of a couple wins to be bowl eligible, they've kind of assumed a now or never type mentality. Is there any doubt in your mind that your team will be able to match their intensity on Saturday?
Well, again, this team only has 4 games left, and every single game is a bowl game for us. Every time we go out there, it's not like, and I love baseball, but baseball plays every other day, sometimes every day. Basketball plays every other day. We only play once a week. We play once a week, and we practice 5 times very hard for that one opportunity to play a game. So, regardless of whatever's going on with any team that you play, and vice versa, we've got to go out there, and our players, I believe, understand that we only have four more opportunities. We only play once a week. That's all we have. So we're going to put it all out there, hopefully on Saturday.
Bill, if Kyle can't go